Hello, everyone. This is Kenny C here, and this is an interview courtesy of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. My guest at this time, you know her from her days of Ohio Valley Wrestling. Her name is CJ Lane, and she is joining me right now. Hello, CJ, and welcome to the show.
Hello, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you on. And of course, I've been a fan of yours since your days at OVW. So again, it's great talking to you. Let's go ahead and begin. How did your wrestling career got started?
I got started in February 2009. I always liked to watch wrestling ever since I was little. I didn't watch it there for a while when I was a teenager, but then I started watching it again with my family, and I just wanted to see if I could still do it, and I went to the beginner's class at Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I made it through the beginner's class and didn't want to stop, so I just kept going with it.
Do you remember your first wrestling match you ever had? And if so, who was your opponent and what company did you work for at the time?
My first wrestling match was May 2009, and it was a debut of all the beginners that were in the beginner's class with me. We had a 6-girl tag. It was me, Karen Shea, Epiphany, Belle Black, Brittany, and also Josie. Josette from TNA was our guest referee.
And going into that debut match that you had, did you got it nervous? Did you have any butterflies, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I was nervous for the month. I knew it was going to happen. Yeah, but once I got out there, I was okay, and I wasn't so nervous once the match started, and I still get nervous before a match because once you walk through the curtains, all that goes away.
That's definitely understandable. I mean, regardless of the match, regardless of the company that you work for, you're going there for the first time. Like everybody wants the first time to be a good impression. I mean, the butterflies are going to come with the territory. But as long as you go out there, believe in yourself, performing, that's all that matters. And the fans are satisfied, then you know you did pretty good.
Yeah, you always pick yourself apart, but you do the best you can when you're out there.
So, how you ended up going to OVW? Did you have to go through further training, or through Danny Davis? How did you end up joining OVW?
Actually, I Googled wrestling schools. I'm from Southern Indiana, and I just Googled wrestling schools near Southern Indiana, and Ohio Valley Wrestling popped up. At the time, I didn't realize that they were developmental for WWE at the time, and they're now developmental for TNA. But they popped up, and I looked into it. They have a beginner's class that anyone can go through. Anyone who wants to join on the website on OVW or OVWrestling.com, they have information about the beginner's class and how much it is. I want to say, mine was 13 weeks long, and it's taught by Nick Dinsmore, which is Eugene. It's 13 classes, or 13 weeks. It is usually twice a week. I don't know if that's how it is still, but it was when I did it. And then after that, if they think that you can go on to the next class, then you will go into, now they have an intermediate class and a advanced class, which those classes, once you get to the intermediate class, then they will, when they decide that you can go on to the advanced class, they'll send you on. And it's the advanced classes, there's not a time frame on it. You just go to the class.
And if memory serves me correctly, Nick Dinsmore, mostly known as Eugene from his WWE days, he's one of the trainers, if not the main trainer, correct?
Yes, for the beginner's class. He trains the beginner's class. Rick Rogers is the trainer for the advanced class.
What was it like being trained by those two?
Being in Nick's class, they're very different classes. I learned a lot of moves in Nick's class. I learned the basics. Nick's he will make you feel like you can do it. Just believe in yourself. He always said, if you're going to do something, commit to it and do it. And he was very laid back. If you didn't think you could do something or didn't want to try something, you didn't have to. But if you wanted to, he was 100% behind you and made you feel like you could do it. Rip's class is very fast-paced. So definitely get into shape doing his class. It's a 4-hour class. He's very knowledgeable. He's seen and done about just everything. And you can learn a lot from just listening to him.
So throughout your career in OVW, you had a chance to work with the likes of Josette Bynum. You work with you've been in the ring with Terrence Shea, Blossom Twins, Epiphany. What was it like working what was it like being in the ring with those ladies on a weekly basis?
Now, I would have to say that out of everyone I've wrestled, Hannah Blossom the most matches. Not so much on TV, but at house shows, it was usually Hannah and I or Holly and I. And I would have to say that that's my favorite competitor is Hannah Blossom. We had a lot of good matches that were back and forth. There was always excitement, and I would say that those are my best matches. But my favorite match would have to be with Josie for the OVW Women's Champion, just not because I won the title, but that was probably one of the most physical matches that I'd ever been in, one of my biggest matches I've ever been in. Epiphany, she's tough to wrestle. She can toss you around like you're a feather. I wrestled Terrence Shea quite a bit. Usually those were about even matches between her and I. And toward the end, right before I left, I had the chance to wrestle with Taylor Hendricks a few times. Also, any of them girls are very competitors, and I would wrestle any of them any day.
You mentioned some of your favorite matches that you have had. Is there any other moments that stands out to you, whether it's a rivalry that you had or a storyline or an angle that you had? Do you have any other favorite OVW moments that stands out to you?
One of my favorite storylines wasn't really when I was wrestling, but when I was managing Paradise as his bodyguard. that was interesting. And I learned a lot during that time just from being on the outside of the ropes with him wrestling. I learned a lot about the crowd, and that is one of my favorite storylines. Plus, he's always fun to work with.
Oh, I definitely remember that as well. I mean, that was a lot of fun, and it was entertaining as well. Those were some good memories, let me tell you. Those were some good memories, no doubt about it. So, you, as of right now, I guess in a sports term, you're a free agent. You're no longer with OVW. You're pretty much focusing on other things. I also hear that you once worked for Magnificent Ladies Wrestling, which is kind of like a custom wrestling website. People get to book matches and stuff like that. What was it like working at Magnificent Ladies Wrestling?
I love going to MLW. Most of the times I've been there, my matches have been between the girls at OVW. There's only been a few times that I have wrestled different ladies. This past weekend when I was in Memphis, I had 6 matches, and all of them were against somebody that I had never wrestled before. I got to wrestle Melanie Cruz, which was a very interesting match. She's a great wrestler. Veronica Fairchild was one of them that was really a good match. And the people down there are great. To work for MLW, they're really nice people.
It must be good for you to get a chance to work with different ladies compared to the OVW ladies. I mean, you have a lot of respect for the ladies that you've worked with at OVW, but I guess it's good that there's companies like Magnificent Ladies Wrestling, so you can get a chance to wrestle with people that you never had a chance to work with.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience to learn, because you've got ladies coming from all over America, basically, and with different styles and different, what they've learned that's different from what I've learned. So it makes it's very educational sometimes.
So here's a question that I'm sure a lot of your fans want to know. I've been a fan of yours as well. You know, they say in the wrestling business, never say never, but do you have any intentions of wanting to come back to wrestling at some point this year or sometime in the future?
I guess never say never. I don't know. I can't imagine not, even if it's not OVW. I'm not done wrestling yet.
That's
so
good.
You'll probably see more CJ somewhere.
That's good. That's good. You know, you don't need to, rush back right now. A lot of fans, been out there like we love CJ Lane. We want her back. Whatever the case may be, and we the fans definitely would love to see you back at some point. But we just have to stay tuned or keep our eyes peeled. Pretty much, you never know when and where CJ Lane will be back. But for the time being, people, you can purchase some of her matches at MagnificentLadiesWrestling.com. And you mentioned you have 6 matches from this past weekend, and those should be posted within the next few weeks or so. So that's something to keep an eye of until maybe that time that she does come back. My last question for you, CJ, is what would your advice be to anyone out there that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler? What would your advice be?
Just believe that you can. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be, as a girl, you don't have to be, you don't have to look like a supermodel. Believe in yourself, and it's worth trying. Either you'll love it and you'll keep going and you'll do what it takes, or you realize that you can't do it. But if you really want it that bad, then my advice is to go to OVW. It's one of the best schools that there is. You can't get any better, and they're developmental for TNA. And if you're anywhere close, you don't have anything to lose.
There you go.
You have to lose is if you don't try.
Well said, well said. And speaking of which, I know that was supposed to be my last question, but since you mentioned TNA, I'll go ahead and get into it. As you know, they were a developmental territory for WWE for many years, and now they're the official developmental territory for TNA now. What's your thoughts about the collaboration between the two companies?
TNA and OVW, I think it's great for both. There's a lot of talent at OVW that needs to be seen, and TNA is a great way to get them out there. And also, TNA, there's nothing I can say that would be why it's not a great thing for OVW, but, all the attention OVW is going to get now from it and their wrestlers. It's a win-win any way you look at it.
Well, CJ, I want to thank you for doing this interview with me. I truly appreciate it. And Hopefully, we'll see you back in the wrestling ring in the future. But until then, people can go to magnificentladieswrestling.com and check out your matches there. But great talking to you, CJ. Thank you for your time, and best of success goes out to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully, I'll see you soon.
Hey, I'm looking forward to that day when it comes. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be a surprise.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Surprise worth waiting for.
Yeah, it is going to be worth the wait. That's absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This will conclude the interview.
Bye.